ಆದ ಕಾರಣ ನಾನು ಮೊನ್ನೆ ಇವರಿಗೆ ತಿರುಪತಿಯ ಒಬ್ಬರು ಡೀನ್ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಈಗ, ಅವರಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೆ, ನನ್ನ ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ ಅವರು ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಬಹಳ ಡೀಪ್ ಆಗಿ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತು ವೇದಾಂತ, ಆಮೇಲೆ ತರ್ಕಶಾಸ್ತ್ರ ಎಲ್ಲ. ಅವ್ರು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಈಗ ತಿರುಪತಿ ಯೂನಿವರ್ಸಿಟಿ ಓಪನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತೆಲ್ಲ, ಎಲ್ಲ ಆನ್ಲೈನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಎನಿಬಡಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಗೋ ಅಂಡ್ ಸ್ಟಡಿ ಎನಿ ಇದು ಭಾಷ್ಯಗಳು, ವೇದಗಳಿಗೆ ಭಾಷ್ಯ ಅದ, ವೇದಾಂತ ಓದ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ಲೆಸ್ ಸಂಬಡಿ ಟೀಚರ್ಸ್. ಬಟ್ ಭಾಷ್ಯ ಇಸ್ 100%. ಎನಿಬಡಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಸ್ಟಡಿ, ದೇ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಟೇಕ್ ಡಿಗ್ರಿ, ಎಂಫಿಲ್ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಇವ್ರು ಎಂಫಿಲ್ ಮಾಡೋರಿಗೆ ಗೈಡೆನ್ಸ್ ಕೊಡುವವರು ಅವರು. ಅವ್ರು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು ಅಷ್ಟೆಲ್ಲ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ. ಜನನು ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದಾರೆ ಅಂತ. ಹೆಚ್ಚಿನವರಿಗೆ ದೇ ವಾಂಟೆಡ್ ಟು ಸ್ಟಡಿ ದಿಸ್ ಫಿಲಾಸಫಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ.
Good. So now Padma Shri and Lata is there.
Good morning, Lata.
Good morning.
Padma Shri.
Good morning.
Good morning. How come you both are late?
Yeah, I actually changed my password yesterday and I had not logged on in my mobile, so it took some time before I logged on.
Oh, okay. Fine. So let's continue. Hi, Shri Hari. Morning.
Morning, Shri Hari. Good morning, Vilas. Good morning, bud. Good morning, all.
Okay, so now we come to the 31st. I think we did, but it's we'll start on that. So what we need to do, or what a person who is a realized or a yogi is, a person that who can establish the unity between himself and others, seeing himself in others and others in himself. So whatever be his mode of living, such a yogi is in him all the time. Meaning, what really happens? So we can see it in three distinct ways. The first way of seeing is that when the person feels I am, just like the bucket and the water and the moon, there is a shaking in the bucket. Let us say he shakes himself or somebody shakes it up for him or whatever it is. The moon is distorted. That is what we general normal human being is. So he will have raga and dvesha, and he exists is the moha. So these are three things which simultaneously keep on happening. And the subset of raga, dvesha, moha is this arishad varga of kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya. So they become the subset of these three things. For attraction to happen, the bucket should be shaking in the way that I like it to shake. And if the aversion has to happen, the bucket should vibrate in against my wish. And my existence in that bucket is treated as an eternal thing. So I should have a belief in eternity. So what human beings have done, they have created a concept of God, because then that is eternal. There should be something which is eternal. So I create God. And the person who really saw God was different than the normal persons who perceive God. There's a perception of the God. So God is like somebody, like I've given this example before, but it is good to see, is like you're walking and then you're finding an ant not able to cross the puddle of water, and you give it a leaf and it walks on that and crosses over and calls it friends to demonstrate that, look, God has come to me. And again it falls in water, and this person again says that this ant is he is least bothered which ant it is, basically. But that identified ant feels that it is me which the God is taking care. So this is called as ignorance, avidya. Okay, so the person who is giving that leaf is giving the leaf out of compassion, not for love for that ant. Whereas that ant feels that this leaf is given by that person out of love and affection for this ant. So one day what happens, it calls its friends to demonstrate, and it falls in the water and starts shouting the name of the Lord. And again, the same person sitting there will see that this ant is fallen into the water, and then it gives, or he gives, a leaf, and it crosses over and then comes on the other side and proves to its friends or its colony that, look, this is what has happened, and every time I call, every time this Lord comes to me. So the ego gets totally charged up now, because the ant feels that it has achieved something extraordinary than the other ants. So what the other ants do is that they will garland this ant and then make them as their well-wisher, guide, whatever it is. And this ant starts writing a lot of books on how to attain the unattainable through the devotion of God, which is this person. So every time this ant falls in the water, those many number of times this person is picking up and putting it back. One day it so happens that this person has not come, and the ant, as usual, now he's got used to it. His craving has increased and his belief also has increased, so it falls in water again. But this time around nobody has come, and his friends are watching that it is drowning. But then the faith in him makes him to swim on its own, and then sees that he can do it without the need for that person to give a leaf. Oh, it so happens that it learns this and it is able to swim. And the other ants are really surprised at this feat. They feel that this ant, which was just an ant, now has become like an amphibian. It can swim in the water. So not only in this puddle of water, it can now swim in any water, because it has lost the fear. And it does not even worry about whether the person is going to come and give a leaf or not. So the tremendous devotion within itself brought an ananda for that ant. And this ananda is what every ant wanted. But they fear for their life, because they've seen that if somebody were to jump into that puddle of water, they cannot swim. They will eventually be sucked out of their life. So they fear. Whereas this ant is able to jump into the water and it is able to swim across and prove that, look, this is what has happened. So he becomes, or this ant becomes like a god-like. So whatever he says, the community will do. So there is a followers. And those people who oppose this will be treated as bad people. And those people who appreciate this person or this ant is treated as good person. But actually, if you see, that human being who gave the leaf had no idea of what is happening under the ground. What scheme is happening, who is winning, who is losing, what is the status of this ant, nothing is known. And he is least bothered about what it is. One day, this ant goes into meditation just to see what happens. It's just heard that the meditation is a good way of leading good life. So it goes to a cave and tries to meditate hard. And then it finds out that every being in this world is the same. They go through the same struggle as a human or as an animal, as a ant or as a whatever, winged creatures, non-winged creatures, water creatures, non-water creatures, on land and air and humans. And then it is also able to see other realms of existence called as devas and brahmas and all that. So now it knows, okay, the status of everyone is the same. So the person who helped me to cross was not interested in me. He just gave the leaf. He would have given the same leaf to any ant, need not be me, because there is no me. So now it sees a different reality. It sees that there is nothing called as an ant. It's just the mind, which is established in the body of an ant, because the karma were suitable for that kind of existence. If the karma were matching as a human being, and then that ant would have become the human being. If that karma was matching to the deva, then that ant would have transformed itself into a deva. Or if it was, the mind was of a brahma, then it would have, the body would have developed into a brahma. And at the same time, if the mind were to give up the raga, dvesha, moha and remove the arishad varka once and for all, then doesn't have to become anything. So the bhavatarana is not there. To become this or to become that. So this ant now has realized. So what did it realize? It realized that in worshipping himself as the true nature of reality, without raga, dvesha, moha, he is established in everyone and everything. So then he sees, this ant sees himself as the Brahma, himself as the Deva, himself as the Manava, humans, and himself as the winged species, as insects, or winged species, as birds, then non-winged creatures as animals, and non-winged creatures as ants and centipede and millipede and all that. So these are the beings who have got that body to satisfy their karma. That's all what it is. So it comes to understand that the karma was there, and because of that all these things have happened. The karma is nothing but the desire for existence, to do something. So it's normally sensual. So it finds that it also has five senses and it is sensing everything, and the same five senses is there everywhere. So now it's a realized being. It has just now realized that me is in everything, and this I am in whatever I can see. So if something is there in me, the same me is expressed as another being. And if I see another being, it is me who is reflecting in that being. So in that way, it is only a being. When we say a being, it means one who wanted to experience. So the consciousness wanted to experience. And why it wanted to experience? Because it had triguna. It had sattva as the guna, but got doshas of rajas and tamas. And now the Sattva Guna is shining forth. It is able to see the mistake of the consciousness to see itself as a split out personality. And because it is the split out personality, it feels it exists. And because it exists, it has to suffer. If there was no existence, there wouldn't have been any suffering at all. What is this suffering? The suffering is for the food, suffering is for the shelter, suffering is for the clothing, suffering is for the medication, suffering for things happening as per one's wish, suffering for things not happening as per one's wish, suffering for not able to stay in a particular way even for a moment, suffering for not knowing when a person is going to die or why he should die in the first place. Nobody wants to die. So that's the suffering. So when we see the pleasure cycle, the losing of that pleasure cycle is bhaya, which is fear. So it's a suffering. Nobody wants to give out pleasure, but unfortunately lands up in painful situation. Just like it's a cloudy weather for so many days. People want sun. Now there is too hot sun. People want cloud. Then sometime sun, sometime cloud, sometime rain. No, that is not good because that will call for a lot of diseases. So at no point in time, any being is happy with any kind of existence because it doesn't go as per one's wish. So this is what the ant was able to find out. That it is not as per what I think it is. And this is not only me who is suffering like this. If I see everyone is suffering like that, every ant is suffering like that. So then it stops worrying over itself. Now once it stops worrying over itself, the identity view goes away that I am this ant. It doesn't see itself as an ant anymore. Neither it treats itself as human. It doesn't treat itself as anything. It doesn't self-identify. With the self-identification is gone, the yogi in that ant merges with the Lord within himself. Now this person is in yoga. His chitta vrittis have ended then and there. So then he will see tada drashtu swarupe avasthanam. Now he sees his true nature. What is his true nature? To shine on everything. That's all. Be aware. Just like a lamp switched on in a dark room, it lights everything. It doesn't make a distinction between should I light on this bed or shouldn't I light on this bed. The bed is so clumsy. The blankets are not yet put in a proper way. There are cloths hanging here and there. And there is this table not tidy. There is this, the shelf not kept in a proper way. There is dust on the floor. And there are other items which are not conducive for people. And there is food substances everywhere. There are ants and other creatures which are eating them. This room is not worth to light. No. To switch on the light, it just lights. Doesn't care what is there. This is exactly the state of the mind of a realized yogi. He doesn't make a distinction between two individuals because he knows the pain they're undergoing. So there is compassion. And he loves them unconditionally because there is no condition to believe. Because he sees the pain. Now when love and compassion arises in the person, then if somebody is trying to escape from From that pain, he appreciates. So he gets an appreciative joy. He feels joyous, just like the Brahma. Then he has equanimity, just like the light. It's equanimous to what is seen. So if we establish the four foundations of Brahma Vihara right now, you become Aham Brahmasmi. Because you are loving everyone unconditionally. The person is filled with compassion because he sees the pain, he sees the sorrow, he sees the lamentation, he sees the grief, he sees the distress, he sees the anxiety of existence, he sees the fear of existence or non existence. He sees how a person is going to miss if he is not existing and the fight he is doing for his own existence. Every moment, how this person is doing. And that helps him to go away from there. So, this is what Krishna calls it as God consciousness. And he starts with something called as Bhakti Yoga. This story, what I narrated, is not there in any book, but this is how we can see how the yogi and the Lord merge together. So the divinity has no barriers. You see everyone in their own way of divine. The reason being that if they are able to move, that is what it is. So yesterday, not yesterday, day before yesterday, I was asking my son and my wife one question, which I can ask all of you also. What's the most fascinating thing about life? What do you think it is? The most fascinating, the most profound.
Is it the curiosity of understanding what's around?
No. That's not the one. No answer?
Is it giving something?
No. Should be totally profound. Not the mundane way of thing. Should be really profound.
Believe that we are eternal and always existing.
Yeah, that is ignorance, but that's not profound. When you know it, it makes you feel profound, or you should have understood what is profound. Like, what's the most profound thing in our day to day or minute by minute? I'm giving you some pointers.
Is it I am living?
Okay, that is not that profound, but it's okay that you are realizing that you are living. Okay, somewhat better.
You feel you are existing.
You feel you are existing. Yes, that is what you said. Eternity and existence, they all go together.
Yeah, correct.
Something should be very profound. Okay, Shall I answer?
Yeah, you can answer.
Okay, the most profound thing is that a chitta can lift your body. You just watch your breath, it is lifting up the whole body. Your breathing is the first profound thing, actually, not about anything else, which goes unnoticed. It is treated as something which is understood. So that is ignorance. This is the smallest profound thing, that you are breathing. The real profound thing is, if you really look at your stomach, it's able to lift that heavy part without any effort. And breathing is throughout the body. One breath goes from head to toe. Not even one part is missed in that breath. And that's the most profound thing. The breathing happens due to chitta. So the day you see the chitta, you will really feel profound. That day you will lose yourself, because you never existed. It's only the chitta which is doing everything. It lifts 5 elements and it drops the 5 elements. Each one of us will be around 65, 60 or 70 or whatever number of kgs. And the same chitta can lift the elephant body, can lift any body, big or small, long or short, a sinner and a saint. It lifts. That's the most profound thing. Chitta I'm talking about, not chit. Chit is there everywhere. But that chitta, which is an individualized ego or individual soul, whatever you want to call that as, is the one which is also, that's the reason Atma Samyama is what Krishna uses. This Atma is the mind. This Atma is also the chitta. So when I say I am, it is this chitta, what I'm talking about. But the misunderstanding here is that Atma is something different and Chitta is something different. No. And that's the reason Krishna also uses in this chapter itself and gives clarity on the Atma. Atmana santushtaha. That is, the Chitta will be in santushta, meaning equipoise. It's not getting into raga, dvesha, moha. It is equanimous. It doesn't go in collecting something through the senses. So this thing called as mind is able to lift a 500 kg elephant without a problem. So when the prana goes away, that 500 kg elephant cannot be lifted except by taking a crane. But while alive, that elephant can run without feeling that 500 kgs or even 1000 kgs, because the chitta exists in that, and the chit is the one which drives the chitta. That is the real one. Chitta is the fabricated one, the reflected one, whereas the chit is something which does not move, does not change. It is there. That's it. It doesn't do anything than being there. It doesn't react. It doesn't act. It doesn't get involved. It doesn't do anything except for being there. And that state of mind, when somebody goes through, that is, the chit becomes like that. Oh, sorry, the chitta becomes like that. It gets frozen, doesn't move. And it cannot move means it cannot identify. If it cannot identify, it cannot suffer. If it cannot suffer, then it will become equanimous to both pleasure and pain cycle, happiness and unhappiness. So it transcends the duality of existence.
One question, Vilas.
Yeah, sure.
So, does the chitta give rise to ego, or is it the other way around?
No, the chitta has the ego. What does the chitta has? It has memory, it has feelings, it has identification as I, it has the buddhi, and it has an enclosure called as manas. So when we say manas, it includes all of these. Okay.
Okay.
So what is the ahara for the chitta? The ahara for the chitta are the vasanas. All those vasanas will keep on appearing in the chittas and color, give that color. And every chitta comes with I am doing this, I am doing that. And that's the
So
reason.
every chitta has I thought there are multiple chittas.
No, there is multiple chittas, and in each chitta you will find I and memories.
So it is the same I which is there in all.
Yes.
The ego gets whichever chitta comes out.
You will say,
ego is
I am
also
doing
coming
this.
along with that.
Correct. You will, let us say somebody wants to steal a bank. It is his chitta which has come, and he'll say, I am the stealer of the bank. And I am the enjoyer. I am the sufferer. I am eating. I am sleeping. I am doing this. I am doing that. All those fabrications which have happened is because of that. But the chit does not associate itself. And that's the reason it's called Satchidananda. Because it doesn't get involved. Just because the chitta is no longer there, it doesn't cry. If it is there, it doesn't smile. It's just there. The cloud of ignorance of chitta is it takes itself to that ultimate reality. So it suffers. So the chittas create the reality, which is true, because all that we are seeing, the inventions and the houses, the roads and everything what we have built, the bridges, the scientific improvement we have done, the robotics we have done, artificial intelligence, everything has come out of chitta. Nothing in this world has come without chitta. And what does the chitta do? It knows how to play with the 5 elements. So all the development we have done is with 5 elements. We have solid, we have liquid, we have gas, we have all of that, and we develop things out of it. And the people whom we see are also 5 elements. The emotions with which associate with them is also 5 elements. So everything is 5 element. Even if you were to look at your own body inside, is made out of 5 elements. Each organ is made out of 5 elements. So everything in this world is 5 elements. So ultimately 5 elements and consciousness is what it's all about. The merging of 5 element and consciousness gives life. The separation of 5 element with this consciousness gives liberation. So the Prakriti Purusha works that way. Prakriti gives 5 elements, and the Buddhi, the way of managing it, the Purusha gives something of non-existence to exist. So that is how this creeper and the tree works. The creeper is the Prakriti and Lata, basically. And the tree is the Purusha. it winds up the Purusha in such a way that it is impossible to say who is Prakriti here and who is Purusha here.
One question.
Yep.
Who is managing whom? Question is, we have intellect, buddhi. Is it buddhi is managing this Prakriti?
Buddhi is part of
Or
Prakriti.
my chitta is playing a role to manage this Prakriti?
No, it works this way, but Chitta will give the impressions to make it live. Everything is made live through Chitta. What is immaterial becomes a materialistic existence. It is able to move. Just like our body is pure organic matter, but the Chitta is able to make it move through a process called as in-breath and out-breath. If you watch your breath, you'll come to know. It becomes subtler and subtler and subtler because the mind, the Chittas become more and more refined. So the breathing itself will stop. So your mind has stopped. It has frozen. That's what is called as Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha. You stop the breathing. And your heart also stops. Everything stops to its original conscious state. So now the Chitta modifies the 5 elements, which is Prakriti. The Buddhi is part of Prakriti. What is Buddhi in Prakriti? Buddhi in Prakriti is an aspect to know what should come. Meaning, a human embryo will only carry human related information. An animal embryo will carry only animal related information. There will not be any way, let us say a man were to copulate with a dog or with a horse or with whatever, it's going to become a human being. Or if a dog or a horse or some other animal were to copulate with a woman, a human, it's not going to give rise to a offspring or to a child which is horse, let's say. That's not possible. So no matter the virya, that sperm is of the origin of that matter, it just cannot interchange itself to something else because it has its own identity. So that is what the Prakriti is all about. Prakriti has the guna, Prakriti has the vishesha, Prakriti has got some vaya, Prakriti has the way of managing things. But Prakriti doesn't have movement. This movement is provided by Purusha. So the Prakriti starts moving. It's like you have a robot, you have to put on the batteries for it to move or to put on power. So as soon as the power is put on, the whole matter will move. That's exactly what is the Prakriti and Purusha. Both are eternal. Prakriti is also eternal. Purusha is also eternal. Purusha has got nothing to do with Prakriti and Prakriti has got nothing to do with Purusha. They both come into existence because of the 3 gunas. And the gunas have started because of the karma. And karma has started because of the samskara. And samskara has started because of the vasana. And vasanas, they don't have anything starting there. Vasana is vasana. Why this impression came? There is no answer to that. So, who is doing what? Nobody is doing anything. But the mind has association. Manas, that container. Container has...
1 minute. You responded to my question. I'm not able to remember that. Can you start from Vasana to... What is that? You said that a sequence backward.
See, the thing...
Vasana is no starting point. Yes, Vasana is Vasana. What is next?
Vasana, the one below is samskara.
Vasana and then samskara. Okay.
And then you get into triguna, sattva, rajas, tamas.
Triguna. Yeah.
And from then onwards, it mingles with the Purusha and Prakriti.
So the mingling of this Purusha Prakriti is nothing but for us it's a human. Okay, we have everything. And breathing and all is happening because of Chitta lights. And breathing happens, blood circulation happens.
No,
it is not because of my buddhi, it happens.
No, wait for a second. So how does breathing happen? Breathing is a bridge.
Yeah, my interest here is to understand the human being, how it is really formed, and then the journey to moksha and how it happens with the combination of all these things. Just want to understand how it works.
Yes, so for that reason only, it is not only human being, all beings will breathe.
Yes.
What is breathing? Breathing is a process of connecting between body and the mind. That is how the prana works. Now, what is prana? Prana is the modified form of the Purusha, the basic energy. Just like you have an adapter or you have a battery in a laptop, that's prana. So you keep on charging it. So the chittas work both ways. It works itself as a source, and so it also works itself as this powerable or the battery. So what they found across in all the things, they found something very funny, is that they found a bridge which is called breathing. So using this breathing, they came to know that entry is also through that, exit is also through that. They were able to see. If anybody were to come into life, he starts breathing. And if anybody were to go out of life, he will stop breathing. It was one which was found. Who was breathing is the question. Then we said Jivi is breathing. Now there's a concept of Jivi came into existence. Actually, the Jivi is nothing but the collection of chittas with a body-like structure of a very subtle nature of 5 elements. This is called as Sukshma Sharira. This Sukshma Sharira is also called as Manasika Sharira, which has this Manas and Buddhi and Indriya and all of that is part of this Manasika Sharira because it is Mana Indriya. It behaves on its own. Now this, when contacted with the gross elements, depending upon its karma, it creates this Annamaya Kosha. So they found out that breathing is a connection between the Annamaya Kosha to Pranamaya Kosha to Manomaya Kosha to Vijnanamaya Kosha to Anandamaya Kosha and beyond, which is the eternal reality. Okay. They found out that it does 2 functions. 1, it establishes a connection between body and the mind. And 2, it will supply the oxygen into the bloodstream. So that is only 1/4 of the function. 1/4 of the function is to supply the oxygenated oxygen into the bloodstream. That's only 1/4. What does the 3/4 do then? So they found out the another 1/4 is related to prana, which is very subtle than this breathing. And they also found something funny. It connects the mind, which is the next 1/4. And they found out the last 1/4 is related to the Triguna, Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. So then they found, okay, if we were to realize ourselves, it has to only do with breathing, not through any other way. So they started concentrating on the breathing. So that became a very concentrated form of meditation. You only concentrate on the breath. So Krishna also talks about that. And Krishna talks about something else also. So he says, observe your nasagri and see how the breath is coming in and how the breath is going out. Shiva also explains the same thing in the Vigyan Bhairava Tantra. He says that watch your breath. and watch the stop in the breath, because that is the one which is non-moving, eternal. Breath is the one which is moving. That means there is a point when the chittas get frozen. That point where there is space between two chittas. If you were to observe it, that space keeps on increasing and increasing and increasing and increasing, and ultimately the chittas will get frozen completely. This is what they found. So what does the breath do? It is spread out in 4 parts. First part is breathing. Second part, connection to the mind. Third part is about the manas. Fourth part is the gunas. When you do all the 4, you become gunatita. None of the gunas bind you now. And the movement with these 5 elements is only through breath. So that's a bridge. So body and mind, nama and rupa, is happening through breath. So if one were to establish in a proper way on breath meditation, that person will realize. So they came up with the concept of soham. They have then we came with the concept of om. Then they came up with the concept of kundalini. So there are various ways of meditation. Some of them are long rooted, some of them are short rooted, but ultimately that is the route to freedom through meditation. So you do a japa and then start meditation on that using your breath, because that connects to the mind. So what Krishna is also saying is, you will only achieve that once you are able to see samatva between you and the other, which always in the chitta, nowhere else. Chitta should find samatva, not you and me. That you and me should go means where? It should go in the chitta. So the ahankara appears in the chitta. If we want to take care of ahankara, I myself as an ahankara, how can I take care of ahankara? So then I have to use the conscience, which is the neutral chittas, which just flow just like the rajas. It can flow into sattva, it can flow into tamas. The negatively charged chittas are all selfish chittas. There is a self view in the chitta. So it attaches itself to that, this fear of losing. The positively charged chittas are the one which has a self view, but with positivity of giving and sharing and knowledge oriented and all that. And these neutral chittas don't have the quality of self. It has universality. So the chittas itself falls on the positive chittas for the beginning, so that the negative chittas don't grow. The energy is gone. So the meditation object can be Soham meditation or the breath meditation or whatever meditation as an object, while the other things are coming and going and coming and going. As we start observing them, not reacting to it, not getting attached to it, it falls down. And after some time, you give up these positive chittas also, because they also create rebirth consciousness. So you give up that, then come into neutral. So when the person is established in neutral, he sees himself in others and he sees himself in everything, or others in him. So when that happens, he is liberated. So then he's become completely divine. Did I answer? Or confused?
Yeah, yeah, but this is a little more deeper. you answered.
Okay.
But a deeper subject. This is a deeper subject.
Yeah, go ahead. I mean, what exactly you want to know? We will cover it.
I think my first question was, you have answered, but let me again put it. Because you started telling that guna, and then you connected with all that, those things, including karma, chitta, and all that. Then you said what is prakriti and what is purusha. then you said that chitta is it is litting, and during that time, we have all that prana, everything, some automation function it works, and also some function based on our we have that will, based on that buddhi and that our chitta, we also do some actions. This is the kind of thing you have analyzed. Finally, you said gunatita. When you reach gunatita, you are already there in the moksha. That's what you said. So my question, maybe my initial question, I don't know. I was thinking maybe I should talk to you a little, maybe separate session if I am not able to understand this properly. I assume that others have understood, not me to that level. My question is, one is that you clearly said that the guna, it is started. Okay, you don't ask from where it is started. Then it is moved up to, we have so many faculties here. In Bhagavad Gita, Panchakosha is not explained, but you brought that factor today. Okay, and that's very, very important. That 5 things up to our Annamaya, Pranamaya, Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya, and finally, next is eternal. That you nicely explained. What I have not fully understood is that where exactly this Prakriti, Purusha, and my Buddhi, there is something called Buddhi for me. And see, if I think that I should do this, say after 1 year, if I finish this course, I will reach there. It is my Buddhi decides and I can reach there. But in between, if I get death, because my rebirth is guaranteed there, because I have to achieve that target. That means rebirth also, some time back you explained, is because you have some target in your this one, because you want to do it. You have that kamana, and you will achieve it by taking, if that is not possible in this birth, you will do it in the next birth. Yeah. So then that will drive you to reach there. That's the reason you are having that vasana. Every janma when you bring, you have some vasana. Some people may have vasana for music. They become a great musicians. Like that, every person has got his own vasana. And for that, he is living because that is interest for him. And then not having all that vasana is nothing but moksha, because nothing is there. But this faculty is given to us by this nature, so-called buddhi. You said buddhi is a part of prakriti. Because I have understood. If you drop buddhi only, you will be there in this spiritual life. Means it is you will be there in spirituality, full with the Brahman. Yeah. If I drop buddhi, for example, and then using buddhi, what I am supposed to do here? I have some buddhi which is given by prakriti only. This buddhi will again, prakriti will pull me to prakriti only, because this buddhi is also from prakriti. Which factor is pulling me to spirituality is my question, I think.
Okay, so
which factor is making me to that you should seek for moksha? Because whatever I have inside is a mixture of all prakriti only, throughout. Purusha is not doing anything. Purusha is just litting. But prakriti will always think that it should be the prakriti only. Then for Bidugade from this prakriti, what is that factor inside this? So many faculties there now. Which one is working?
Okay, so first we have to understand there is something called as Mahat. It is called as universal buddhi. It knows about everything in prakriti. How a bird should be a bird, how a plant should be a plant, how a human should be a human, how a deva should be a deva, how should be a Brahma be a Brahma, what is the quantity of 5 elements that has to be poured in order to get that is the Mahat. This is called as universal intelligence. Who gave that universal intelligence? And that is where people bring in something called as Shakti. And they say mother gave all that. Because now you can't say something cannot come out of vacuum. So they say that, okay, this is mother. That's another topic. So let's first address the current question. Now this individual person, when we say a person, is driven from vasana. Vasana has samskara as its roots, and that has karma as its essence. and then gets merged with rajas, tamas, sattva in particular quantity. And when they all meet, gets you a thing called as a buddhi, which is individualized intelligence. So when we look at the container of manas, you have manas itself as a container, then you have buddhi, then you have this ahankara, then you have the moola prakriti with chitta being there. So when we have the chitta lightens up that whole equation now, because its job is to keep on lighting up, going off, lighting up, going off, lighting up, going off, and that outer container will keep on showing the color. It colors up the whole thing. Now in this whole spectrum, what is the meaning of realization and what one has to realize? This is the good question to start with. What is this concept of realization? Is whether I am Prakriti or am I something called as Purusha? This is what the realization is all about. So 24 plus 1. Not intellectually but physically seeing it through himself. So he opens up his equipment and sees himself that everything he finds is only 24. There is no 25th one. And then that dawns into the person that what is Purusha. Anyway, now coming back to the same question. What is that one realizes? One realizes that there is an attachment of the Purusha towards Prakriti. So by understanding Prakriti, one can understand Purusha, not the other way around. Why? Because this whole body and mind and everything is brought out of Prakriti, not out of Purusha. So now where do I see the Purusha? Purusha is seen only in Chit, nowhere else. And in individualized, it is called a Chitta. So it has three flavors, like I explained. The neutral one is the one which can be used for realization, because it doesn't go on the right hand side, nor it goes on the left hand side. It stays pure and bright. Okay, this consciousness stays pure and bright, but gets contaminated because of its association either with the left hand side, which is akushala, and the right hand side, which is kushala. And both gives rebirth because it creates this asakti, meaning interest with the Prakriti. Whereas the center one is the one which is not having that akarshana, to getting attracted to. And it doesn't have gravitation. Akarshana, akasha has gravitation. So in the center one, it doesn't even have gravitation. It just exists. So using that, one can get liberation from the samsara, because samsara is of dualities. So you have the right hand side, which is the punya phala, and the left hand side, which is papa phala. Again, there is a duality in chittas also. So everything he sees has a duality. So when I don't see duality, when I see Advaita in that, means I am focused on the center which loses that I. There is no longer I left. So this is the way of realization. If we were to take up the equipment and open it up and see it, this is how it looks. So it has neutral, it has positively charged and negatively charged. In everything we can see that only. You have grounding, which is neutral, then you have positively charged and negatively charged. If you see atoms, you also have positively charged, negatively charged, and the nucleus, which has got neutrons. So protons, electrons, neutrons. So everything has this three things. One is the neutrally charged element, which just has the energy, potency. It has positively charged particles and the negatively charged particles. So what to realize is that you are neutral. What is rebirth? That I exist. That is rebirth.
What I think. And when you get any more doubts, again you have to come and ask you.
Yeah, that is true. See, all these topics, after how much ever you explain, No, you will not be able to get it like that. So the moment you get one experience, then you will be able to get it. It doesn't mean that I have got the experience and I have understood everything. I'm not telling that, but that's what I feel. Once you get it, then you will never lose it. So that is what I feel.
Yes,
Otherwise,
correct.
you can keep on discussing about intellect, buddhi, mahat, and chittas and chit and all that neutral chitta. All these we have already talked about a lot.
Yeah, we have
And-
talked about a lot. Yes.
And actually, so I think Vilas has explained about this neutral chitta, which has to come up, and then that's when we start the spiritual journey and so on. And another way also he has told that Atma will feel that it has to get liberated or whatever. So, and also it is acting like a slave and so on. So we have discussed many ways, in different ways. And this is all Sankhya philosophy, I think, right? All this
Yes.
mahat and then all that intellect, buddhi and all those kind of things.
Yes. So it Bhagavad Gita also relies on Sankhya, and you have Sankhya in Upanishad also. So you can go by the Panchakosha view, which again brings you back to the same Sankhya.
Yeah, today was a mishmash of everything. We discussed the breath, the prana, the kundalini. Then we talked about chitta, everything together we have discussed.
Yeah, because I wanted to show to you how this shloka 31 is.
Okay.
Because you have to see the divinity in the 31st verse. Otherwise, then onwards, 32nd verse, he talks about who is the highest yogi, and our friend Mr. Arjuna gets totally confused. He says that, sorry, this is not for me. So this is the pinnacle or the point of Dhyana. So the question comes, why should one do Dhyana? Answer is this.
Yeah.
So this is where
This
we
is
are.
also samatvam yoga muchyate, right?
Correct.
And all that Brahma's qualities, loving kindness, compassion, appreciative joy, equanimity. We have also talked about this before. What
Yes.
is called Deva Sambhati or
Yes.
something like that.
Yeah, these are all
And
the
then
Deva
first-
Sampatti.
First, you need to have that as a basis, and then you can do everything else.
Yes. So there is this loving kindness meditation. There are so many meditation techniques, Lata. In Buddhist as well as in Hindu, we have all kinds. So you have loving kindness meditation, then you have forgiveness meditation, then you have breath meditation, then you have vipassana meditation, then there is samatha meditation, then there is kriya yoga meditation, then there is kundalini yoga meditation. So many meditations are there. Soham meditation, my goodness, we have market filled with meditation techniques.
Yeah, so that's what. If you keep on going here and there, you will find many things. I have picked up some of them, and something which I picked up is gratitude meditation,
Correct.
which I still continue. So that is actually good.
Yes.
Having attitude of gratitude for all the people you know, you would have taken help from, especially for your parents and all those people
Correct.
who are working with you or anybody, even the when you are eating the food,
Yes.
if you are eating rice, the person who has grown it and to the person who has taken it from the field to packaged it, and then there are so many people involved in that chain.
Correct.
So we forget all that with only paying money. We get rice and you feel okay, it is yours. But we forget all that effort which has been gone into that. So all that kind of that's a kind of gratitude meditation. So
Correct.
there's different kinds. So there are so many, but I had picked up this one.
Yeah, there are
Like that.
so many different kind of meditation. So all that merges into what? It merges into breath, where you will see the breath is the one which creates the link between the body and the mind. So once we come to know that, then you don't see any difference between you and others because everybody is breathing, right?
Yeah, that is true. That I have intellectually understood, but I have not experienced that.
Yes, that is the one which needs to be experienced. So when we experience that, like I said about this profound thing, what is the most profound thing? This one breath is able to lift this body.
Yeah, that is one thing which was profound in your teaching today. For me at least, I have written down and kept this lifting
Yes.
up. See, we have discussed this before also when we discussed about the weight of the dead body and things like that. But then the chitta is able to lift these five elements.
Correct.
So that is something which is amazing. So I was just thinking how the elephant gets up and how each of us also get up, how much ever is our weight. So and then you feel that you are getting up. Actually, chitta is just lifting up.
Yes, that is correct. So one day, Lata, every day now I do walking on my terrace. So when I was walking, this thing was a real experience of this chitta lifting up the body. I was seeing in the bird that chitta is able to make it fly, right? And I saw a monkey that is able to jump from one building to another. All are five elements only. And if I see the houses built by each human being, those chittas have created these buildings, and they have built the cars and the road and everything, right? So there is no person there as a person. It is just a collection of chittas. So now you can see the chit in everything. So it's universal consciousness, infinite. And it's there everywhere. I was awestruck by that feeling that the chit is in every damn thing I can imagine. So it made me still at that moment. And that time I had experienced the bliss, that Satchidananda. Because that is what is creating everything. Even the chittas are able to come up and go down because of the chit. Without chit, chitta cannot rise. So if the chitta were to realize that it is not itself, then it freezes. In that frozen moment, you can only have consciousness, nothing else. So that was a very profound experience for me. So I came and asked my wife, do you know what is the most profound thing in this world? So she gave me some answers. Then I asked my son, what do you think is the most profound? Then I asked them, sit down, see your stomach. How is your stomach going up and going down? It is made out of only five elements. How is it going up and going down? You watch your beating of the heart. That is also made out of five elements. Without chitta, it cannot move. And you have eaten the food. It is digesting because of the chitta. So everything is in that chitta. Everything is happening. And the moment it stops, that body stays wherever it is. And that's called as death. So it is such a feeling. It's such a stupidity to think that I am doing this, I am doing that, I am waking up, I am eating, I am sleeping, I am gardening, I am walking, I am talking and all that. Yes, it is good to just say as a conventional purpose, but in reality it is not. So that was the most profound experience I had some time ago. So I was waiting for this opportunity of 31 to come to ask you.
Yeah.
This is excellent. Past 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's good. So that's what today's teaching. One thing new, which even though you have told us before, one thing which new, which I think I will not forget anymore, is this one.
Yeah, that is really profound. You will really see it's so profound. One single chitta can lift this huge magnanimous body. And you see, another thing you can try it out at your home. You try lifting a furniture. You see how deeply you breathe.
What's that? No.
No. You try lifting a furniture like a chair or a table
Okay.
or something, right? Or a luggage. You see your breathing changes.
Yes.
You take deep breath.
Hmm.
That is what the chitta can do. It can take in more air and lift it as though it has no weight.
Hmm.
Try it out. It's such a fun thing. And that idiotic person will feel that I am lifting it. You see how I can lift it.
Yeah, it is nothing to do with the strength and all that. So just the
Yes.
chitta which is lifting it up.
Yes.
This is very interesting. So far, I was thinking the food what I eat is giving me energy to lift all that things. Now I have understood it's a pranavayu, prana. Prana gives everything. And see, for mother, her child is not extra weight because they are like one prana, both together. If I go to say market to bring say 3 kg of vegetable, I have 3 kg weight I think, but I forget about my body weight. So I always it is 0.
Yes.
Fantastic.
So that is.
And you also said just now you are connecting through this prana from body to mind. Yeah, mind doesn't have any weight. Prana is energy, and body is really having physical weight. But for our mind, physical weight, it gives I feel that it is 0 weight because I can simply move anywhere.
Yes. At will you can see the moment
Yes.
a thought comes in your mind that you have to walk, you will walk.
Correct. I don't think of I am 60 kg. I don't think.
Yes, you don't
Yeah,
think.
you don't feel that you're heavy, like you're pulling and pushing it up and so on. But if the prana is reduced in your hand or leg or anything, it will feel very heavy.
Yes, you will feel heavy then. Yes, correct. When there is fatigue, you will really feel heavy. Mind is always light, but prana not being there will make things worse. So then you have to drag, and that's the reason when a person is sick, he cannot lift himself.
Yeah, so that is the thing. So when you have that prana which is moving around, then it is easy. Otherwise, it is I was just imagining when I had fallen down and my leg got injured and so on. So it was feeling very heavy, not able to lift myself up. The prana has stopped moving there probably.
Yes, prana will stop. Out of the 5 pranas, the prana will stop. So even the chitta is making it to move. Since the prana has made it heavy, it cannot move. Just like a person having a fever, in the fever, what happens is the pranas get caught up. So all the 5 pranas are not anymore able to move. So so it becomes immobile. So once it becomes immobile, your mind, the chittas, will also have equal amount of negative things coming up. So it makes it more heavy and heavy and heavy. So the person cannot lift himself or herself. Whereas if the person is in neutral, he just sees feeling as a feeling. In his mind, he doesn't get associated with a painful feeling or a pleasurable feeling. He even knows that he is just the chitta. He's got nothing to do with the body. So he doesn't suffer with the body. Normally, a normal person thinks he is the body or she is the body, and that's the reason they would like to protect the body. Just like we are protecting against COVID or whatever. But if we get cold, let us say, like my wife is sneezing and she has cold. So how did it come? And there's no answer to it actually, because it's all part of Prakriti. The mind gets into this dizzy mode about why this happened. Okay, but a person who is a yogi will not get worried on that, because he knows that in the chittas, his chittas are pure and bright. It doesn't have anything to do with what is happening on the Prakriti side of things. Because of the weather condition, because of other factors, dust and other things, the invasion happens in the body. because it consists of 5 elements, and how these 5 elements merge itself together we don't know. So he will not worry about that. Whereas a normal individual thinks that he is the body, so he would like to protect himself from that. Instead of just taking the medication and other things, he starts worrying also on top of it. And worry creates a different kind of sensation and feeling. So these are the separate chittas. They take to a person to a negative level of existence. So he sees fear, he sees anxiety, he sees all of that which is really not there. So that is how he attracts the diseases. It all starts with one chitta, which can do the breathing, it can do the lifting of hands, lifting of legs, all that happens to the chitta. Okay.
So using pranayam, controlling that breathing, you can also control your energy level. That means you can optimize your energy.
Correct. You can not only
That's idea, right? Yeah.
correct. Not only optimize the energy level, you can move the chittas from the negative to the positive.
Mm-hmm.
See, after
Because you are focusing on neutral.
Yes, you are focusing on neutral. You see, after pranayama, you feel really fresh.
Yes.
After yogasana, you really feel fresh. The reason being that the prana moves everywhere. Wherever there is blockage, that is removed in the body. So you should feel charged up. The same thing happens when you do dhyana as well.
So this one, Bastrika, and then Agnisara, and then this Anuloma Viloma, and all these are related to air control only, right?
Correct.
This oxygen control.
Correct.
Kapalabhati. And when you do regularly these things, Bastrika, Agnisara, Kapalabhati, Anuloma Viloma, can I say that is also called yoga?
No, that is one part of the yoga. It is not fully yoga. Yoga is all the 8 Ashtanga.
Yeah, that I've understood. That's a complete Ashtanga yoga. But here, what you do after doing this, when you go to Dhyana,
your mind is
then,
stable.
Yeah, you are bringing your complete so-called gross body to a neutral, and then on that you are keeping your mind as neutral.
No.
Then you are doing you are doing what do you call Sukshma Sharira. That means Dhyana you are doing.
No, you are not bringing your body to neutral. Body is already neutral. You are only bringing your mind to neutrality.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot bring your body to neutral. It is always neutral. It doesn't feel anything by itself.
It's just Panchabhutas together.
It's only Panchabhuta. It doesn't have any feeling.
Okay.
Everything is felt by the mind. The body pain is felt by the mind, not by the body.
Okay.
Example. Let's say you are going on the road, you are barefooted, and there is a thorn. The thorn will enter into the skin, correct? Blood comes. Did the blood ask the permission of the skin, shall I come?
It all naturally happens.
Yes. So the blood is there already on the skin. So when it punctures, the blood will come. But because the cells have life, prana, that is felt by the mind. So the mind is there everywhere. Throughout the body, the mind exists. The Sukshma Sharira or the Manasika Sharira exists. And Manasika Sharira has these nerves and everything like a physical body itself. So when it pricks, it really pricks the Manasika Sharira, not the physical.
Yeah.
Annamaya Kosha, there is a prick, but is felt by the Manasika Sharira through the prana. and then
Yes.
you feel the pain. This is how it works.
Yeah. So beautiful explanation, especially the digestive system, how it works exactly same how you explained. See, for example, if you eat vegetarian food or if you eat meat, both are going in. Our body is also meat, but our body meat will digest other meat because of prana.
Correct. Very correct. So it doesn't distinguish, but the mental structure of a non-vegetarian will be different than a vegetarian.
It's only mental, yes. Physical, it is Panchabhuta.
Physical is only Panchabhuta. It doesn't really matter whether you eat non-veg or veg. But the mental structure, the tamasic guna is there in the non-veg, the sattvic guna is there in vegetarian.
Yeah. Now I have understood a little bit about Purusha Sutta. You always refer. The dravya for the Purusha is nothing but all this.
Correct.
That is dravya. When you do a homa, what is coming out is nothing but the purity.
Correct. Okay, 3 more minutes.
Thank you.
To another
Thank
meeting.
you.
No problem.
Thank you, Vilas.
Thank you. Thank everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Okay.